This is Shirkoi Pashas Nasri, Rabbi Gaffney, Shnas Tavshin I.
Right, so we're turning in this week's Pasha Nosai, the chapter 12, right at the end of the chapter, which is the union of Pilchus Kohan. Well, first of all, we have a long description of the din of the Nazir, and the Korbanos he has to bring to completion of his term of being a Nazir, and then immediately following that, we see that it's written, "Vayidava Hashem el Moshe leimer." Daber el Aharon ve'el Bonov leimer. Koi shavarachu es b'nei Yisrael omer lohem. Yivarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. Yoer Hashem pono v'lecha v'yichanecha. Yisa Hashem pono v'lecha v'yosem l'cho sholem. But that's the etzem nutzach of the Pilchus Kohanim, and then the Eibishter adds v'somu Shmiya b'nei Yisrael v'ani avora chaim. And Rashi says that ani avora chaim is also two possibilities. Either it means I'll add my blessing in addition to the Yidden, or it means v'ani avora chaim, I'll bless the Kohanim. And the truth of the matter is, that's a difference of opinions and machlekes in the Gemara in Masechta Seita. It's brought down over there near the end of the Masechta. There's two different opinions as to whether that means the blessing of Hashem to Yidden or to the Kohanim. However, we see that the Pilchus Kohanim Be'etzem divides itself into three main Pesukim. And the first one is Yivarechecha Hashem v'yishmerecha. So Rashi says, Yivarechecha sheyizbochu nichsecha, that your property and your money should be blessed. And the chosim means property based on money. And then v'yishmerecha shelo yoveu alecha shodedim litel mameincha. I promise you, and I'm going to bless you to give you mamin and a chosim. And therefore, I'm also promising that you'll have shmirah, and that nobody will come and steal it away. Even after I've given it to you, there's a possibility that shodedim will come. Shodedim is renegades or thieves, okay, to bezeh. Yeshaneisim matana li'avdei. Somebody who gives a matana to his servant, eino yochel lishomrei mikol adam. Somebody, even if he's an owner of servants, and he gives his servant a present, then he's not able to guard that the present will preserve itself from all possible people that might want to take it away. And if cholida, thieves and robbers will come upon him and they will take away the matana, then what does he have? Pleasure in that matana that was given to him. Therefore, Aval Kodesh Baruch Hu Hanaisen Hu HaShomer. HaKodesh Baruch Hu, he's the Hu Hanaisen Hu HaShomer. He's the giver and he's the God. V'har b'medrashim dorshu b'ei b'sifri. Says Rashi in the famous medrash of Dvarim and of Bamidbar Dvarim, called the Sifri. There are many drushes on the content of the Birchas Kohanim. What is it about? So Rashi's Maram is that he's telling you B'derech HaPshat. There's a lot of different dvarim b'medrash, which is already not so much B'derech HaPshat, but you can find that in the medrash. If you're interested, you can look up and find all the different beauty. First off, the Eibishter promises the mensch physical, what you might call financial and monetary blessing. And the monetary blessing will be lasting. If it comes from the Eibishter, then he will guard you that it's not taken away. Hashem ponav elecha. The Eibishter will literally shine his face elecha. So Rashi says, Yareh lecha ponim sheichachet. He will show you literally a smiling face, ponim tehuves. What the Indian from tehuves means literally yellow, or it means a lit up or illuminated face. V'yiten lecha chein yichonecha. He will give you grace and chein. Yisur Hashem ponav elecha, yichboish kaasei. He will conquer his anger. So the intelligent reader is rather attracted by the fact that it seems to be going with a seder from simple to more developed brachas, or more simple, more elevated, more ruchnius. At the beginning he promises you mammon and a chosim, and then he says he'll guard them. Then he says he'll give you a shining face and a humorous kaviyochel face. The Eibishter will look at every yid and he will give him chein. Chein means grace. And grace, l'chera, means both in the eyes of those around him and a certain hatzlacha as a result of that. Once you're moitzer chein by people, and they relate to you in a positive way. And like we say in benching, we say vanim tochein v'seichel tov be'ena elokim ve'adam. That there's a union to be moitzer chein, and that leads to a good seichel, a seichel tov, but it leads to a good understanding and a good appreciation, both in the eyes of the Eibishter and in the eyes of man. In other words, a chein is already what you might call like a sgula. It's like a elixir, like a magic thing, a special bracha b'fnei atzmai. And achim kain, in the finality of the bracha, what l'chera we seem to be going higher from one level to another. In the finality of the bracha, Rashi says that Yisor Hashem ponavei lecha, that he will lift up his whole face towards you, whatever that may mean in the simple oisias. However, we see that Rashi says, Yichboish kasa, he will lift up his face towards you. He will conquer his cars. Well, it seems to indicate that after all the inyanim we've had ad koi, he's still angry, the Eibishter. After he's given you all this moment, and he's going to guard it, he's given you a chein, and he's showing you upon him of good humor and how to call it, smiling, and upon him tehuvet. I haven't got the time to go into all the details of those expressions. But Rashi's already mentioned a lot of shaynas similar to that in previous inyanim, but ain't kind of, but it's a very elevated Indian, and then all of a sudden, Yisor Yichboish Ka'asei, well, that would seem to be the thing you should start with. But first of all, if the Eibishter is angry at you, first of all, he should conquer his anger, and then he'll start giving you all the good Zachen. But right at the end, he has to be kovish his kas. What does it do? And particularly, that's based on a Lashon in the Medrashim, but over there it's not written, the Lashon, that he will conquer his cars, but it's written he will take his cars away. And in the Medrash Rabbah it's put down that Yisor, to elevate, or Yisor upon him, means to take away anger, lahosir, anger altogether. So that would also imply that there was anger, but the bracha itself would take away all the anger, but nothing will remain. Or if I say, Ich boish kasei, then that means he's going to push it down. How do you call it? Lichboish means to conquer, literally, but it means to press something down that may be elevating itself. Like the idea of a how do you call it? A kavisha means to soak something underneath in your adeya. Kavisha, k'mavushal dami kovish, k'mavushal dami v'chulu. And Amira would apply that there is kas, over there is just going to hold it down. So what sort of a maila is that? And what is the Lashon Yisor Hashem Ponov Eilecha, that he will elevate literally his face towards you? And Rashi learns of B'derech HaPshat that leads to an idea of existing anger, but nonetheless ignoring it and forcing it down. Also, we need to understand in the Klolos Ha'inyan, we find many blessings in the Torah, and the Eibusha promises many blessings. He says he will bless Yid Nazeh and will bless Amazeh. And we find that different people bless different people. Yaakov blesses his sons, and he blessed Menashe and Ephraim, and Yosef blessed this one, and this one gave a bracha to that one. Yitzchak gave a bracha to Yaakov. Was meant to go to Esau, but it came to Yaakov. Then we see that Yaakov blesses his children. There are all sorts of brachas in the Torah, and here we see that the bracha has to come dafka through the kohanim. It's a tzivui and a mitzvah sasei, a positive commandment from the Eibishter to the kohanim dafka to bench the Jewish people. Therefore, koi savorachu is b'nei Yisrael. You should bless the Jewish people. Kakve, but kach is a simon. That's like a passing on of a shlichus from the Eibishter to the kohanim dafka. Well, so if he's there, praise it to Shiloh. Why did this very special bracha? Why is it nimshik dafka alidei the kohanim? Was it the ma'ila in the kohanim that dafka they pass on this inyan? Ve'ilu, if you study it careful, particularly if we learn, the first pshat that Rashi brings in the end, V'ani avorachem, I will bless them. It's much more, everything's really from there. The Eibishter, really the emes noisen of the bracha, the Eibishter, nonetheless there has to go dafka to the kohanim. To not. But I'm afraid we don't provide any coffee services during this class, myself. So you'll just have to do it yourself. Levi said he doesn't have any problem because he's already got in the mood. He's already been delivering long drushes and so on. He's in the mood. Edify. Ask yourself the Shiloh, what is the nature of Birchas Kohanim? And particularly, that the Alter Rebbe brings it down in Shulchan Aruch, that it doesn't really matter the thing which could stop a person benching the Jewish people. If he, God forbid, he was a murderer or something like that, or even B'shoigeg, he killed another person, or things of that sort. Or but if he's not a particularly, nice sort of a guy, or people don't sort of hold him to be a particularly friendly sort of a person, nonetheless, if it comes the time for Birchas Kohanim, he has to go up and bench as if he had a Kohanim. Excepting if Cholila, people were mammish, they were enemies with him or something of that nature, then it could be that we don't allow him to do. And we see that really the whole thing comes through from the Eibishter, but the Kohanim are like a vehicle, and like the Eibishter could just bench the Jewish people without the Kohanim. Simon, even though the Ike is the Eibishter, he's the Ike Mavorech, and Afro became it has to go through the medium of the Kohen. Has to dafki go through the medium of the Kahan. So when I get to Indian say what Rashi says, Yisro Hashem Pona Vilacha is Yichboish Kaasei, a thing very similar to that, which it's not Rashi's Mokke B'diuk, but it leads us into the Indian. There's a famous piece of Gemara in Masechta Brachas in the third parak on Daf Kof. But the Gemara brings like this Dorash Rav Avira, but he was one of the Amoraim in Babel. V'zimnin Omala Mishmei de Ravami. Sometimes he said it in the name of Rabbi Ami. V'zimnin Omala Mishmei de Rabbi Asi. And sometimes he said it in the name of Rabbi Asi. But they were his Rabbaim. Omru Malachei Hashodesh Lifnei HaKodesh Baruch Hu. The angels said in front of the Eibishter, Kosu B'Ser Selcha, you wrote in your Torah, Asher lo yisal panim v'lo yikach shoichad. A pasuk in Devarim that the Eibishter does not favoritize. Doesn't take any favoritage. Everything's got to be according to the Shuras Hadin. If al pidin Torah kach, it's kach. If loy, the Eibishter doesn't favoritize. V'lo yikach shoichad, he doesn't take any bribe. You can't get around the Eibishter. Either you're worthy or you're unworthy. Either you've done what you're supposed to or you didn't. You can't sort of favoritize around, and you can't offer him anything bimkom. You can't bribe him. Even though there's a famous sikha from the Rebbe in one of the latter Chalokim. Matter of fact, I heard part of that sikha the Rebbe spoke about in a couple of Sheikhim. So I heard that part of that sikha from the Rebbe Be'atzmai when I happened to be there in the summer one year in some Tony. However, it's written, so the Rebbe says that we do give the Eibishter Sheichat, and the Eibishter does take Sheichat from us in a very special case. Al derech harov, he doesn't take Sheichat. So therefore the Malachei HaShodesh, they had a time to the Eibishter, and they said, listen, you've written in the Torah, you don't favoritize and you don't take Sheichat. V'haloyato noishe panim l'Yisrael. Although you say yourself that you do favoritize the Yidden. T'ksiv Yisro Hashem Pavelecha. It's written in the Bilish Kehanim that you elevate your face to them. In other words, you favorize them. How can you do that? It's against your own. It's against your own principles that you don't favoritize. Omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'chi lo yeso panim l'Yisrael. What I can't, I'm not allowed to favoritize the Yidden. For sure I am. V'chi lo yeso panim l'Yisrael shechosati lehem ba'toira ve'elchalto v'savaito uve'rachto. Hashem Elokecha. By Birchas Hamazon, I said that if you will eat and you will be, how do you call it, satisfied, you'll be very full and satisfied, then you should bench, you should bless the Eibishter. He said, V'heim medaktikim al achmam, and they are medaktik on themselves, ad kazayis v'ad kabeitza, that they bench, even if they eat only a kazayis or a kabeitza. So if they're medaktik ad a kazayis, then a kabeitza is double a kazayis, what's the chiddush of a kabeitza? Ella, there's a machlekes in the next parak, in parak Leisha She'ochlu, there's a machlekes b'negel there, as the Chachamim hold that you make a bracha, you can bench a fill you ate a kazayis. Reb Meir holds that you have to eat a kabeitza l'chol ha'parkas. But you don't have to be surveyor. Both of them are masking that Yidden are medaktikim al achmam. Just the shaila is vifa with the shear. How small do you go? Well, from that comes to it that you can't really be nizba l'chayra from a kazayis, even for a kabeitza. Nonetheless, Yidden bench the Eibishter, even if they ate such a small gear. Says the Eibishter, well, I'm not going to favoritize the Yidden. Look at what they do, that they're medaktik kimal halatzman ad kidei kach. So when a simple reader, when he reads that, his mind boggles with questions, and a big exclamation mark appears above his head. With the whole thing. That first of all, how can you just make a bracha if you're not mechuyev? I mean, not just one bracha, 3 or 4. Brachas, 3 midaraisa and 1 also tikkun d'rabbanan. Just make brachas because you want to be medactic. You didn't really eat enough okay, you want to make a bracha. What does it do? How can a person do that? There's a Isa in the Yisera Adibris, Lo Yisa, Lo Sisa, Sheim Elakecha La Shah. You're not allowed to literally elevate the Avis's name in vain. In other words, to make a bracha sheina tzricha, or to make a bracha levatola. And a mamela to make a bracha sheina tzricha is brought down right at the end of all this brachas in the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. That yesh is a bedova. There's an isuf and lo yisisa bazeh. How can the kids come along and say, oh yeah, you didn't want to make brachas and they want to be medactical al atzma. And I feel long as that that's all right. The mitzad time, yesh lefalfu bazeh. It's okay. Why dafke by this? I mean, Yidden have taken on themselves all sorts of chumrah over the generations. The Gemara is full of that. All the chumras and extra things that Yidden took on themselves to guard themselves from all the inyonim, the golas, and all the inyonim of Eilam Hazeh. Dafke by Zideh said, oh yeah, here I have to favoritize the Yidden, and he goes against a person what he himself put in the Torah. It's a strange and very, very peculiar inyan, and that's the inyan Yisa Hashem Ponovilach. Amamila. That's somewhat links with what Rashi said, that he's kovish kazi. He sort of goes in a zaminaven of favoritism to the Eden, even though he may have good reason, in some way to be angry about them, or some inyan to bring a punishment upon them, chas v'sholem v'chulu. However, he favoritizes them because they favoritize him. It's killer. He's saying, in a way of midah keneged, they favoritize me as I favoritize them. So comes along the shaila, what's the dafke the kesher with birchasa hamaz and dafke with the inyan from achila, and with this inyan of benching that it's shayat this inyan from Yisa Hashem Ponavilacha, and the inyan of kovish kasa seems to have a shaykh. The Medrash Rabbah brings down another lashon of a similar to this. And the Medrash says that imagine a Yid sitting around the table with his family, and they didn't have enough bread on the table to give a big, happy feast to everybody. And l'kama mishpacha higiu rak kazayzo kibeta. Afu pikein heim mevochim or mishavkim lakosh baruch. Even though they got a kazayas or a kabeta, the Torah says the Eibush lo yes upon him Yisrael. In other words, that they would be very happy if they got a kazayas or a kabeta, because they see that that's a way of praising me. All right, so praise him. I say thanks to the Eibush to fill for that. I've 3 brachas to make, and so the Eibush is on that because they make 3 brachas. The far I am prepared to favoritize them. Comes along the very famous Acharim, what everybody's heard of him, the Chasam Sofer. The Chasam Sofer, what's going on that he was Migdolei HaPoiskim, Mikol HaDoros. בפרט בדרך האחרונים, and he's מקובל בכל התפוצה ישראל as a basic. In his shilas and chuvas, it's brought down in Sfarim, in Orach Chaim, Siman Mem Tes, the Chasam Sofer says a very amazing idea. He says a very powerful, what you might call, nakuda, which sort of almost swings our whole understanding of the matter in a slightly different direction. And we could sort of broaden on the point a little bit. And the Chasam Sofer says, so what is the ideal state in the world? The ideal state in the world is that you have to fill up your belly in order to be full. You have to pack away guns and platefuls of food and all sorts of inyanim in order to be full. That's the Matthias of a Yid, and those are the Matthias of the world, the way the Eibishter wanted it. L'chera, you find in the Beis Hamikdash, but that was the market kol habrachas and the market kol hashpoet. Ba'ilam, you ever heard of the lechem aponim? You heard of the lechem aponim? So every Shabbos, it's interesting, the Alter Rebbe put in a little piece after Al Tira Mipachat Pisayim. The Alter Rebbe put in the parsha, the lechem aponim, in the Torah. You should say it when you finish Shabbos in the morning. And very few other Siddurim have it. There's one case where the Alter Rebbe put it on a thing to say that other people usually don't say. Because usually it's the other way around. Everybody says a lot of different things, and in his Siddur the Alter Rebbe didn't include them. Did you say the lechem aponim? And one of the reasons we can suggest is that the Kohanim, they used to eat the lechem aponim on Shabbos. And that's when they used to change the lechem aponim in the Beis Hamikdash on Shabbos. Used to sit from one Shabbos to the other, and it was always fresh and warm, just like the moment they put it there, the Shabbos before. So it's written that when the Beis Hamikdash was in its state, not shortly before the Churban of Bayis Sheni, but in Bayis Rishon and in the better times of Bayis Sheni, Bisman Shimon HaTzadik, it's put down that even if a Kohen, all he got, because there were a lot of Kohanim, even if he got was all he got was a, how do you call it, a kapul. It was like as big as a bean, big as a decent sized bean. If he got that, then if he ate it, then Mizborah Pameyav, and he was very happy. The Kohen felt tremendously nourished and fulfilled by a little weeny piece of the lechem aponim that happened to reach him. And then it's written that later on, in the time of Bayis Sheni, a good time before the actual Churban occurred, that bracha stopped being noticeable so much in the lechem aponim. And it's very interesting. It's interesting that when they bring down the different miracles that happened in the Beis Hamikdash in Pirkei Avos, in chapter 5 that we learned 2 weeks ago, they brought down that they never found anything wrong with the lechem, with the oimah, with the lechem aponim. It seems they don't bring that nest that when the Kohen made a little winny piece of the lechem. Now, I would like to suggest the reason they don't bring that because the Chasam Sofer once said it's not a nest. Now, that's the way it is. Wherever there's a Gilui Elokus, wherever the world functions according to Torah, then you don't need, and particularly if you got something which is coming with a divine blessing, it's mamish part of the service of the Beis Hamikdash, that all you need to do is eat a small bit and you feel adequate, you feel satisfied and perfected by that. And if you look in the brachas in Pasha B'chul Koisai, where we see all these wondrous brachas that are given, so it's written over there, Rashi says, Ve'achaltem lach mechem la'seiva, that you will eat your bread to fulfill, to satiation, or satisfaction. Or Rashi says, oichel kameya, he eats just a little piece, oichel mishboreg b'meya, and it gets a blessing in his tummy, and he feels that if he had a tremendous amount. So once again, we learned over there in our Shir Kloy, but again to those brachas, as to whether they're nisim or to afil ladar, the shitta that they're nisim. If you didn't keep the mitzvahs and if you didn't were al pitera, how it should be, then that would be to say to her harogil. That would be to say to her no. Hanomali, as you might say, that when there's a gila alakus al pi yidden keeping rotzen Hashem, then in yonim you don't need to pack away your food with a ganze in it in order to feel satisfied. No, the smallest little piece carries with it a tremendous bracha. We see all sorts of praises of Eretz Yisrael, that the peiros were huge and with the whole thing. But once again, not the kavanah that you had to polish off a whole huge peri in order to appreciate Eretz Yisrael. What it means is, if they were to cut one of those peiros, then you give a few pieces to people all over, they would be tremendously blessed. Like we find that when David HaMelech, when he made that whole Suda with the Jewish people, after he bought the Oren Hashem and put it in its place, that's what led him to start planning the base Hamikdash. Then he called everybody together and he gave him a little piece of lechem, a little piece of lechem and what was it? A piece of zayit or something. He gave each person. He gave a little bit of shemen size, I think it was. He took it, and everybody was mamish full, and everybody was tremendous suda. And all was, he gave him a little souvenir. He gave him a little piece of that. And maybe we see that where is a Gilei Alakus at the entrance of the Oren into the Beis Hamikdash, everybody was perfectly satisfied. With a little, small amount. It became Eliyahu Hanavi ate a little piece of dvash. It he lasted 40 days. He went 40 days, and Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was on the mountain, B'klal never had anything. In other words, where there's a emes, a Gilei Alakus, the me'ayim, the mensch don't need quantity. They just need a certain amount of quality. The Chasam Sofer, he learns that what the Torah said, v'yachalta v'sovaita, overata. What it means, if you eat the normal way, al pi Torah, you eat a kazayas, or maximum, a kabeta, absolute maximum, then you'll be happy. He said, that's really what the Torah really meant. In other words, he traced the whole thing over. Not that the Torah really said you have to be severe. The people were medactikum al atzmo. No, that is in effect the emissary. That's the emissary Matthias. That really should be like that. I was a kovahem. Medactikum al atzmo. It's mashma that they're being machmir on themselves. Because the world necessarily doesn't. The Eilam Goylam doesn't necessarily hold that way. The Eilam Goylam, they run after the Inyan von Taivas Oilam and after the Inyan von Ribui HaSavir, from the Inyan Achil V'chulu. They don't know the whole sword. But the Yidden weisen the sword. They know that and we could suggest that was the whole way the Bria was meant to. The whole Bria was meant to be that way, and that was in Pasha B'chul Kreisai. But that's the emes. And what David HaMelech showed them, that if you take a souvenir from an emes inyan in Kedusha, then that's enough. You don't really need your termis there. And that's what we see by the great tzaddikim, that they ate little pieces and they just seem to keep going. Well, that is really that's the normal way that the world. That's the normal way that the world functions. However, certain people, they ask kashiyas on the Chasam Sofer, and they said it's a little bit, far gone to say and particularly particularly, as I just mentioned, the Lashon is a little bit difficult, because it's much more of a hey, medaktikim aratzman, they kilogo, if name mishurata, hadin, and you have to be a little bit sort of deicha, you have to push them and say, well, they're different than the other people, But if that's the way it's really meant to be, then why is it true it's a big chumrah on the part of the Yidden Void Kamakashis? They ask you from other places where it's much more the dafka, there has to be a lot of plenty in the world, and you should eat dafka and even from plenty. Yeah, they bring verschiedene shilas against the Chasam Sofer. But upon him, he has a very amazing, point. And the Nakuda being that the point that remains on the Chasam Sofer is that we could say that there's an ideal situation in the world, and that a mensch gives himself away in commitment to ideal, then Hashem will help him. Like it's written, he eats a small amount from his body per meyav. And we need to understand what's that connected, nonetheless, with the inif and medaktikim al-atzmon, but that's much more it's a chumrah. Not that that's the way it is malachatchila. And if we have to say that there's some sort of secret hidden here, and it's got a shaykhs with the senior from Birchas Kohanim. So all we could say is like this, just briefly, since you're all tired from all your efforts on Shwed, and this afternoon from your efforts in hearing Divrei Torah Barichit, and Divrei Torah HaMeirim Es Einayim. So we'll have to just make it brief, and that is that we find that the Gemara Masechta Megillah brings down over there an amazing series of descriptions of the brachas in the Shemoneh Esrei. And it said, why was this bracha first, and why did the next one follow, why did the next one follow, and time after time, all the way through the Shemoneh Esrei, it said, why was this one before this one? And so the Gemara says over there, why is it that we put the bracha Ratzei before the bracha of Moedim Anachnulat? Now Ratzei is the Avedis Beis the Avedis Beis HaMikdash. Why does that come? Why does that come after Tefillah? And then why does it come before? How do you call it? What do you call it? Moedim Anachnulat. We call that Hoidah. We call that Hoidah. The Gemara calls that Hoidah. So it says that why does it come after Tefillah? Because we see that you say every day in davening, you say that the Eivsha talks about the Beis HaMikdash, ki beisi beis Tefillah, yikorei l'chol ha'amim. That my house of Avodah is also called a Beis HaTefillah. Yeah, Rashi brings over there in Yeshayahu Hanavi. Rashi brings over there that all the goyim will come liyosid lovi to daven in the Beis HaMikdash. They will come to say their prayers in the Beis HaMikdash. So the Beis HaMikdash, that's a place of prayer, and the Avodah of the Beis HaMikdash follows the union of the prayer, because the Etzem Bayis is called a Beis Tefillah, and then after that, the union of the Korbanis, which is the work that's done there. And then after that, in from the Hoidah follows, because it's brought down that Aaron. So then the Gemara asks, because it's written Zoivea Toida Yichab Donani. It's a pasuk in Tehillim. The first of all Zoiveach, and then afterwards Toida. First of all, you offer up a korban, and then you thank the Eivishter. So that's Avodah, and then Toida. So then the Gemara asks, well, why is it that Birchas Kohanim, we bring in Birchas Kohanim after Hoidah. After Hoidah, we bring in Birchas Kohanim. So anyway, in the end, the Gemara says that we bring in Avodah after Birchas Kohanim after Hoidah, because we have to bring Birchas Kohanim in connection with the Korbanos in the Beis HaMikdash, because it's written that Aaron HaKohen in Pasha Shmini, it's written Aaron HaKohen put up his hands and he blessed all the Yidden. When he was just finishing making the korban chatos on the mizbech, he stood on the mizbech, and so the Gemara tells us that was Birchas Kahanim. Rashi brings it out. That was Yivarecha Hashem b'Yisrael v'Yoya v'Yisrael. Rashi said that was Birchas Kahanim. So we see that he was busy with the korban, and then he made Birchas Kahanim. So the Gemara said the Chayvah should be between Ratzei and Toida. Why? Why do we say after Moedim? So the Gemara says, because Avodah and Hoidoah had a milsehi. It doesn't matter. The Moedim is not an interference, because Hoidoah and service of the Korban is all one thing. And if you can put it in after, it's all the same. It's just like after the Korban. So we see that there's a inyan that Avodah and Hoidoah is all one thing, and that the inyan from the Hoidoah comes before Birchas Kahanim. In other words, that Hoidoah leads into Birchas Kahanim, and there's some connection between Birchas Kahanim and Hoidoah and Avodah. So very briefly, the vote is, normally speaking, brachas, Chassidus tells us that brachas are things which are already ready for you in heaven. Why do you get a bracha? Because really it's already there. And whoever benches you, he is either somebody that he knows that that's up there and he can bring it down for you, or he's a person that has a schus, and on the day that he says to you, kach v'kach, Hashem kilo follows his words. If he's an Elach Yid or a good person, then Hashem follows his word. But it's already there. It's already prepared in heaven. A bracha is not really a new thing. However, tefillah, prayer, what do? We say, Yehi Rotzein Milfanecha Hashem Kach that this should happen. And before, when we pray, we ask for, the Birchas Hashonim, we ask that this should happen, saying Talumata, there's been no rain, we said now should be rain. In other words, that the inyan of tefillah is you cause a new inyan altogether. You cause, as it were, a new rotzen by Hashem, that even though he may not have Kaviyachol planned, as it were, to give that inyan, on the day what you pray to him, you cause him to give that inyan. However, the inyan from prayer is a whole new inyan, which is mahapech, the whole seder of the world. But bracha is only just bringing down what was already prepared. Like it's written by Yankiv, that he blessed each man according to his bracha, to each of the sons. So it says that his bracha was already there. Yankiv just brought it. Mashin Davni. And there's a man from the Rebbe Rashabri, he brings a very amazing dogma to the fact that tefillah causes a new inyan. And it's a good lesson in Avos Yisrael. That's an amazing thing. It's written that David HaMelech had a war with his own son. You know the man with Avshalom, Rachmanin Islam. Terrible business. And it's written that David HaMelech prayed, that the people with Avshalom should give in. That he prayed not to kill them, but that they should give, that he should win, but in a way that they would all come over to him. And that's Indian, to a certain extent, that's connected with the prayer part of B'Shalim and Nafshi, that it should be ever so Shalim, as Yerushalmi, a famous Yerushalmi, which means that, the war should be turned into peace, that they should all come and make peace with it. So it's brought down, and considers that in effect happened. That all the people in Avshalom's army, they all began making a cheshbon, that what are we doing fighting against their own king? And they all prayed that you fall into the hands of David. They shouldn't win the war, but on the contrary, they would fall into his hands. A whole amazing thing. And so it sort of says, because David HaMelech was a melech, he's like the Lev Kol Ha'am. When he prays, then everything which is like opposite just gets turned around for the sake of the cloud. However, even though they were enemies of his prayer caused them to be a whole new material, that they started wanting to really fall into his hands and not to win. They started praying that he should win the war. An amazing combination. That sort of brings us out right that prayer swings everything around. Potter v'sholim not. Edefa, it's based on Yerushalayim. So we see that comes along the Rebbe Rashab in a place, and all the Rebbeim bring it here and there, that Birchas Kohanim has got the mile of tefillah and bracha. It's got both miles. And it's got even more, that it's like a commandment. They don't say, please Hashem do kach kach. They just say, Yivarecha Hashem b'yishmerecha. And they're not asking anything, and they're not asking anybody. They're just saying, Hashem should bless you. In other words, it's b'derech tzivui. So the Kohanim have an emsa, how do you call it, balabachishkeit, that they just say, boom, Yivarech Hashem b'yishmerecha, this is going to happen because we are telling Hashem that he should do it. And it's got the mile of tefillah that it makes new things altogether. It brings about whole new Matthias. So therefore says the Siddur tells us that that's connected dafka with hoidoah. What is hoidoah? Hoidoah is that you admit you don't really know everything. You don't really understand everything. You're not really perfect. Are you, Levi? You're not really perfect yet. And I don't mean just you, I mean all of us. We're not perfect, but nonetheless we give in and we accept, and we're made him to the Eivishter. So the Rebbe says that dafki through being made, giving yourself away, well, that brings you to emsa kesher with the with the Eibishter, how he is beyond all the limitations. Etzem ain't safe. And that's what's going to bring us to Moshiach. And Beetle. Therefore, what was Lag Ba'ima? What was the sphere of Lag Ba'ima? Huid Sheba Huid. And the Alter Rebbe says in the Siddur that that's Huidua Sheba Huidua. In other words, simplicity in simplicity. Bittul of Yehovah Soga inside Bittul of Yehovah. And that's the way you get to all the Seder's of the Torah that Rashbi taught. A person, Rabbi Paricha, he said he'd been trying all his life to be a Aish Pashut. He's been trying all his life to be a simple person. Hoidoah. That's the Indian that Hoidoah comes before Birchas Koy, before Birchas Kohanim. So it seemed to me that we could say Azam and Sotkan. If you look at that Maimon from the Rebbe Rashab, the Rebbe Rashab says that the way to Tchias HaMeisim is Dafki Hoidoah. Dafki through Hoidoah, V'bitl, we're going to be Zeicher to Tchias HaMeisim. Because Tchias HaMeisim is the hardest of all things that the Mensch Kilu Mekabel. He's used to people being Rachmanin and Tlan Hoya Letzia. He's used to people being buried, and that's that's the way it is. He's gone. It's whenever that's it, and everybody just gives honor to his memory every now and then. And we had a court, life goes on, and the change. Over that a man who was buried, should Mamish be alive, and he's not really. He's not really passed away. He's going to really be alive. And by the way, I've heard recently, that the scientists and the physicists, or whoever they are, have got up onto a new idea about cells and about what makes matter. Have you heard about it? Yeah. And they claim that just mitzad the way the Eivishter makes the cells, and the cells, what are they called? Molecules or atoms? I'm not really familiar with all the terms, but the atom cell is in Emerson. It should live forever. There's absolutely no reason why the atom cell should die. Why it should just sort of give up, or in any way rot or cease or anything of that nature. And they say that it's only because some foreign force, which is not tied to the cell, interferes and mixes in, and it weakens the ability of the cell to just keep going forever. But the cell mitadatzmei should be and can be an everlasting thing. אני צודק או לא, משהו כזה. What happens is, they've been trying to work out what is this negative thing. They can't figure what on earth is this negative thing that keeps somehow or another interfering with the cell. So, it seems that some of them who are believers, they say that maybe that's the end of the interference of the Chet. In other words, that the Chet Eitz Hadas was the bringing into the world of a koyach which works against the nitzchius of the cell. What do I say to that? And you should realize that it's going to go further and further. There's no doubt about it. These things eventually, the difference between science and religion is just completely going down the drain, and science and religion are just linking up more and more. As the months and the weeks go by, it's just more and more. There is an inherent eternity in the Bria, and that's the real nature of the Bria. That's the emerson nature of the Bria. And there's some foreign entity which is all the time getting in and interfering, and they can't really figure what you do it. They don't really know exactly what it is. Over here through the Indian von Hoidor, and that was Rabbi Shimon. Yeah, the Rebbe brings that. You guys probably learned it in the Sikha or in the Maimonides. The Rebbe brings that Rabbi Shimon was higher than the Churban Abayis, and the Churban Abayis is the Indian of Chet. And it's brought down in Kabbalah that Rabbi Shimon was even higher than the Chet Eitz Hadas. He was even beyond the Chet Eitz Hadas. Wie kommt das? Because he was on one hand, he was the absolute Oidor and Beetle. On the other hand, he was there through that to the highest in Yonim. That the type of simcha you see over there in Lag Bim, that's nicht normal. I mean, what on earth is going on over there? I heard of people coming to graves. I mean, that's nicht. And every year it gets more and more. I mean, what on earth is happening? There's something over there that's the everlastingness of human life, and therefore it's just not the Reb Shimon is Hilula, and the Rebbe Rashab says in a place that expression Hilula the Rashbi doesn't really occur almost in any place. It's written there's a Hilula, and then we put it together with the word Rashbi, we say Hilula the Rashbi. At the end of the Iduzutta, according to one Girsa, there's a sort of a lotion Hilula the Rebbe Shimon, right? Of a Hilula the Rashbi. Is a simon that this is the most amazing thing. It's Hilula the Rashbi. What I wanted to suggest was that Dafki through that Hoidor, through that absolute beetle of going without understanding and being prepared to go on with Hoid Chibahoid and to give yourself away completely beetle Goma, then you begin to understand what we're going in another way. And that's what's going to bring us to Perikoid. What appears to be Havach at a whole Matthias of the world. But what is a Matthias of the world? Things live and they die, Rahman. Yeah, that's going to be B'dyuk Afuch Gomer, that everything's going to get up and relive. Yeah, I feel that Rebbe says, I feel Goyim. Yeah, all going to stand up. I mean, it's Havach Kola Hamachias. How do you come to that? Davka to the of Haidor, Davka to the beetle, of Haidor, and that's a message of Lag Ba'ima, Davka to, and Mamela. That's what the Rebbe wants of us. You just open your eyes, start looking. Don't want to understand everything. Don't drag up that people have always understood. Nobody understands anything. And the great scientists, the more they're going nowadays, the more they say they can't really explain all these things. It's a low nitan. It's just not shayach, it's just too massive, They're coming to the conclusion, what Chassidus told you a long time ago, you're meant to understand in order to enrich in your Vedas Hashem, or you're not really meant to understand. What's goes to first thing? The Hoidor, that brings to Tchiyasa. Yeah, to Tchiyasa Meishim. At they put the in a Birchas Kohanim after Tchiyasa. What is the kesher? Oh, that's what the Gemara is. Rameram is, V'heim medaktik im aratzmam, ad kazayis v'ad kibait. Kazayis before kibaita. The ik is the kazayis. A kazayis, how big is a kazayis? A few ounces. Yeah, it's not a weight. It's a volume. A kazayis is a volume. It's not a weight. We say that a piece of bread, a normal piece of bread weighs a kazayis. But it's not a weight. It's a volume. Like the curtain, they got this little windy kapul, and they just took off. And Adam Marishan in Gan Eden was walking around eating from all the fruit. he made him all time sudders. Now we find Adam Marishan was going up in Yehudim Elyonim, and he was making korbanos. So I mean, the little bit that he ate must have been a tremendous bracha. Unbelievable. And the whole reason we have to eat is only in order to be mavada in yonim in the world. Otherwise, why do we need to eat? It means that what the Gemara is that Yidden want to go. They want to prepare. And Yidden say we want to be ready and we want to prepare ourselves. For the Yom Shekulei Shabbos, and we won't have to eat as I feel, or maybe we won't have to eat anything. This is a chumrah that they don't want to be nana for an oilam as the Seder is by the Umas Oilam, and with that for backpacking a huge great meal, and you got to have Chinese restaurants and Romanian restaurants and you got to fill up your belly with all sorts of wines and beers and all sorts of space. It puts on huge amounts of tons of weight on people, and they get ill because of overweight. They go some miles with the others. No, you didn't say no, and you didn't say, we want to live the way Torah says. We want to live the way it is, and they say we want to eat how it's going to be liosid. It's just one little piece. And therefore, it's must be in certain places that epis will be a little shmektavik, but yours are. The Rebbe once said in the famous Sikha about what we don't eat on Shabbos Shul, why the minig in the Bab is not to eat. And the Rebbe brings a whole amazing thing that so the Shlishis is mamish like Yom Kippur. That's the main Elamah, but you don't need to eat. I had to Rebbe said, Rebbe Hashem says you should take a little something. So the Rebbe said you have to take a little something. It was, they call it a shmektavik you have to take. That you have to have. But the rest of it is just purely up to the age of Elam Abor, Ein Baloy, Achil Veloisha. The Yidden, they want to be like that. And therefore they say to the Eivishter, Onu, Reitzim Moshiach Hakshav, Onu, Oichlim Kezayazukah. You better to be careful with these guys. The next thing, they have them running around the whole week just eating their Kezayas or something. But I wouldn't mind as long as you look after your health. Maybe I wouldn't have to pay someone around time. Anyway, so Lafizeh Kumta is that here we see the union of the two. Birchas Kohanim is Yisro Hashem Ponam. Yichboish Kasei, he will quivish the car. So if you guys learned that at the beginning, but I can't really have any times to that you didn't. At the beginning, the first Maim over there, and Etta, the Rebbe Hashem brings a Gemara Masechta Rosh Hashanah, that it's written that the Eibush will press down our avenas, and another pasuk says he will wash our avenas. So he says that if you press it down, it's really there, but you just press it down. If you say wash it, then it does. Corey washes it away. That's a Gemara Masechta Rosh Hashanah. What's Lafizeh Kumta is that if you just press it down, then it's still there. However, I had an idea that maybe here, when we say the Sifri and the Medrash, when they say Yichboish Kase, the Medrash says Yosir Kase. He'll take it away altogether. There's two ways of stretching a thing. You can wait till it gets a whole problem, and then you stretch it down, and then every now and it tries to spring up again, and you have to stretch it. Or you just say, we're going to put this into the into the mud, as you might say, and we're going to press it down, and we're just going to keep it pressed, and we're never going to let it come back again. That's got a certain mile in it, that even though there could have been an Indian shlili, but we're going to always keep it. Yeah, we're going to always keep it down. I just make l'chatchila that there's no Indian shlili. Oh, that's the whole Nasoyan. The whole Nasoyan of the world is that there has to be a possibility of the Indian shlili. But the Abish will hold it down and he won't let it come up. And so that's what the Rebbe said, my dear sir. That's what the Rebbe said the whole time. That we had the heads of the Arabs in the mud. We had our heel on their necks. And we had their heel, we were koivasham. And the Rebbe said, that's what you have to do with an Arab. You have to keep his head inside the mud the whole time. Of a regular, what you let his head come up a little bit, oh, he's the ganze balabala. Das is a dogma. Keep your head on the rod, keep your foot on the rod, and keep it down. Koivish kase, through Birchas Kohanim, the Abish undertakes Koivish kase. The Indian is there as a Nesoyan. But since I see that you guys are so ready for Moshiach, and you're so ready to live in the Gilui of Liotzin, Yisu Hashem Pone V'Locha, the Abish said, how could I not favoritize? Didn't look at what they're ready, and look at what they're prepared. I said, Amen, Ken Yehi, Rosain, Azazel Zain, it should be Mekuyim, Yanas. And I was very gratified, I must say, to hear that everybody really showed up, Shvuis, and really put in an effort, and that people went to the Talucha and everything. I was very, very thrilled and very gratified. That Mamish made me feel a little better, I must say. Begashmiya Safila, and Allah has come a baruch niyat. So you guys have got to realize that we may be a little bit fewer this term of Tamiyu Tamachsikas Hama Maruba. You got very strong koyach. I mean, you saw the other night, but it's for bringing it. You know, we can bring Simcha, we can bring Freiligkeit. Isn't that so? I think you also enjoyed the Farbringen in Yerushalayim. We've got to realize that we have powers, and our message is that Heim Medaktik Malatzmom Ad Kazayz Ad Kabeit. We're not interested in all the big lights of the Gashmiyah. I mean, everybody should have what he needs and in the best possible way. We're interested in Moshiach. We're interested in the ideal world. We're going to be worried about Achil Shasiyah. So we're not worried now either. We're quite satisfied. And that's what they're diktuk. It's a precision. It's a diktuk that we're satisfied with whatever goes. The food over here may not be Hilton Hotel, we don't do it. But the guys are happy and they go ahead and they prefer to bring the message of Mashiach to the world. And what is Mashiach? Mashiach of the world, the way the Rebbe really intends it, and that's the way he really meant it. And that's the message of the Rebbe. We're working towards the Matthias of the Yemes Havayali Eilam. Okay, so that's it, guys. So have a good Shabbos, and continue your good work on Shabbos as well. And we'll go, Harikot, flying to the Gula Shlema, take it from me out now.
יחי אדני נמרנו רבינו מלך משיח לעולם ועד.
יחי אדני נמרנו רבינו מלך משיח לעולם ועד.
יחי אדני נמרנו רבינו מלך